Well, you better mind your who's and whom's today because the grammar lady will be talking with us. Also, tax season's just around the corner. We'll be speaking with Jim Porter from H&R Block. Feedback starts now. As I said, it's a very busy show for us today. Good evening, welcome to Feedback. Coming up later in the program, we're going to be speaking with Jim Porter from H&R Block about the upcoming tax season. But after the break, we're going to be speaking with the author of this book, Much Ado About a Lot, Mary Newton Bruder, the grammar lady. Now, it's a phone interview that we're going to show you because I had to do it with her last week, so just pretend it's radio. But I'll talk to you about that when we come back. We're going to take a break, come back, talk with Mary Newton Bruder, the grammar lady, after this on Feedback.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant. The Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant is located at 540 Main Street in Clarion and offers dining as well as a nightclub. The restaurant and nightclub are open 7 days a week for your convenience. Call Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant 226-8400. This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Clarion Office Equipment. Clarion Office Equipment is located on Greenville Avenue Extension in Clarion. They can handle all your office equipment and computer needs. They are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can call Clarion Office Equipment at 226-8753.
It's not just about making plans. It's about making a difference and taking an interest, not just earning it. At Edward Jones, it's about more than investing. It's about knowing you.
My every hope, my life, my world, it all begins with a dream.
Edward Jones, investing in you and your dreams.
In Clarion, see Gary Martin, located on Main Street. Phone 226-7896.
Feedback starts now. And I said, you know, it wouldn't a better name for a movie to come out now, and I think I'm going to make the movie or write the book. It would be a great book to have, and you can call to get her book. You can also find it online. And I have a feeling I'm going to be rather opinionated, people I know, so let's ask them about scheduling. Why is it that students have such a problem here with?
Tune into Feedback with Mark Despotakis every Tuesday and Wednesday night beginning at 7:30 p.m.
We're totally out of time. No time to talk to you. We'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis, and I said earlier, in this segment, we're going to be talking with someone you may have read her column in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. The grammar lady, Mary Newton Bruder, wrote this new book, Much Ado About a Lot. Now, we're going to actually have you listen to this interview. This is something we taped last week or the week before, I don't know. But it was a phone interview with her, so this is sort of going to be like radio for you for a while. We're just going to have a graphic up on the screen, so if you want to go do something else and just turn your volume up, that's fine. But this is my conversation I had with Mary Newton Bruder, the grammar lady.
Well, in the late 80s, I was working for a literacy group that needed some publicity, and we weren't getting anywhere publicizing this group. So one day in the New York Times, I saw a list of grammar hotline numbers that were around the U.S. and Canada. And so I thought, well, gee, we could have a grammar hotline for this literacy group and get a little local promotion going. And so that's what I did. I'd been teaching English, and I have a degree in linguistics. I thought, well, it would be pretty easy to answer grammar questions over the phone. So I got a little local publicity, and then it just slowly grew over the years, not very many calls, one or two a day maybe. And then I got a little more publicity, and I got the column in the Post-Gazette on Fridays. And just by word of mouth, the thing has grown and to be quite big. Then in, 96, I opened the grammar hotline with an 800 number across the country, and I put up the website. And now, the last report, I was getting 370,000 hits a month.
Wow. Well, looking at the explosion of this, you said that you're nationwide now.
Yes.
So, are you appearing in other papers besides the Post-Gazette?
Well, actually, just one other one right now. And I'm hoping that the publicity with this book will get me some more newspapers. There's one in Hartsville, South Carolina. It's Hartsville Messenger.
So, what makes you the foremost expert on grammar? How did you acquire all the knowledge?
Well, I think the way I mostly learned is by teaching international students of English, people who don't speak English natively but come and want to learn to do various and sundry things. Because people like that ask questions that are different from the ones that native speakers ask, and they make you look at the language in a whole new way. One, I think I might have told Anne, one of my students had an alarm system put in her car, and the installation guy, the mechanic, said, "Now when the alarm goes off, and she said, no, the alarm has to go on. It's not going to go off." And she could not get it through her head that when it went off, it was going to make noise. So that was, and I had never thought of that before.
Okay. Looking at all your years of experience at it now, what is the most common question you hear asked of you?
Well, there are several right up there, affect and effect.
Mm-hmm.
I, me, and myself, and whether you should put the apostrophe in your name when you sign your holiday card. Greetings from the Smiths, S-M-I-T-H apostrophe S. That one's very, very common, and it drives me wild every time.
A few weeks ago, I'm a big Lynn Cullen fan, and I was listening to her. Unfortunately, I can't get it up here on the radio.
Oh, gee, that's good.
This is kind of funny, just as a sidebar to this. My birthday's on Tuesday, and my parents came up to visit me today, and for my birthday, they got me this high-powered radio so that I can try to tune in 1360. I'm like hoping. I've tried it, but I can't get it yet. I'm hoping that it's only because the weather's bad and it's overcast. That's why I can't get it this afternoon, having tried. I really hope that I can get it during the week, because I just love listening to her.
I do too.
But I heard that you had written a letter to her, talking about some things that she had done on the air. Do you find yourself doing that often?
Write letters to people?
To people who maybe newscasters or maybe someone in a newspaper. Do you find yourself doing that?
Well, I don't do it so much as some of the other people who visit my website do. They get very angry because people like Lynn, who she has a large following, and they figure that if she says something wrong, then other people will feel that it's okay for them to do it too. So I don't write her too often. Something came up the other day that she was wanting me to call in and it was that we should try and stop this before it goes any further, as opposed to try to stop this before it goes any further. And she wanted me to call in and talk about that, so we settled that one on the air.
Well, what's the right answer then?
Try to.
Try to.
Yes.
So I'm someone out there. I've gone through my education, and I still feel that I do make grammar mistakes. People have made comments. What tips can you give me if that is me?
Well, I would recommend you get a copy of this book, which the title of is Much Ado About a Lot: How to Mind Your Manners in Print and in Person. And what it is a collection of lots of very common grammar mistakes, but they're put together in topics. How you would mind your manners at school, or how you would mind your manners in the office, or at social occasions, or in the doctor's office. So they're put together with themes so that it's not just a random collection of questions that you're looking through.
All right. Is it rude? You know, I do this to my roommate all the time. And he does it to me right back. Because something I found that I do is I'll say, "Where is that at?" And that's incorrect, right?
Right.
Okay. So he'll be correcting me on things of that nature, and I'll be correcting him on other things. Now, obviously, we can because we're living together, and it's a little different relationship.
Right.
Is that good etiquette if I'm out there doing that to other people?
You're likely to lose quite a few friends. It's considered quite rude to do that. What you do is interrupt the flow of conversation by correcting someone, and the other person can get quite defensive. And I have known occasions where people have fallen out of friendship just from something like that.
So you're someone who's in the business of correcting grammar. So can I presume that you're not actually, if someone's in a conversation with you, like right now, say if I say something wrong, which I may already have, will you not correct me?
That's correct. I would not correct you.
That's very interesting.
Well, because when you're speaking with someone, you're concentrating on the communication, on the message, and I think that's what should be happening. If I stop to correct something, then I wasn't really listening to what you were saying.
Right.
I was listening more to your grammar, and I tend not to do that.
Well, that's interesting. The grammar lady doesn't always tend to listen to our grammar.
Well, that's right. It might be comforting in some ways.
In television, I'm sure we see it a lot. Grammar is wrong. If you watch the news, you hear it quite a bit. If you watch sitcoms, you hear it maybe quite a bit more. And even in the newspapers, you see it. I mean, I've seen things. I read the New York Times daily, and I do see some grammatical things there.
Right. That's always shocking to me to see them in the New York Times.
Right. Do you find that maybe because we're seeing it so prevalent in the way we receive information in these major mass media sources, that it's changing society's way of talking and society's way of writing and using grammar?
Well, that's going to happen anyway to some extent because language changes over time. There are things that I would never have dreamed to say as a young person and this is not just slang words either. I can give you a couple of examples. When I was younger, we were taught that one does not pronounce the T in often. And I still don't, but most younger people do. And I suppose that that's a change that's going to just happen because young people do this.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is the pronunciation of the word M-A-U-V-E. How would you pronounce that?
Mauve.
Okay, well, I pronounce it mauve, and that's still the way it is in most of the dictionaries. But again, since many younger people pronounce it that way, your way, that will be the way it is in the future.
Well, I would think if I said to someone mauve, they would look at me kind of strange because I mean I've heard mauve a few times, but I guess you're right. The language does evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
That's interesting.
And I have no problem with those kinds of changes. But people who would say, well, anything you say is perfectly all right, and if I want to say, where's it at, you can't stop me. Well, that's true. I can't stop you. But I can't also stop making a certain judgment about your use of the language that makes me think certain things about you. And that's the thing I think people need to think about. I know some employers, if they get an application letter or a resume with a grammar error or a typo, they just throw it out in the circular file.
Well,
so it does really matter what we do and how we say it.
Well, parting thoughts here. Is there hope that I think that there are a lot of people out there who always don't have the best grammar, and I think a lot of times they're aware of that. But I still think the population as a whole is pretty good. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think people care. That's my main concern at this point, is to start the dialogue, get people concerned about it, get people talking about it, and then I think it will resolve itself in a hopeful way.
Right. Well, where can we get the book at? See, look what I just did. It's my roommate says it to me every time, and I still keep doing that. Isn't it?
Well,
Wow.
but now you will think twice.
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Right.
That's a start. So where can we find the book?
The book is available in most of the major bookstores, Borders, Barnes & Noble. I think the independents have it, too. I know the Pitt Bookstore has it. Also, it can be gotten online at Amazon or at the Barnes & Noble site.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks for joining us. I read the column every week.
Well, great.
I think I first got turned on to you when you were on Lynn's TV show.
Oh, right.
So that's what, I'd seen the column.
Okay, so there was my conversation with Mary Newton Bruder, the grammar lady. I should explain something for those of you who don't know who Lynn Cullen is. We were talking about that in the interview. She's a radio talk show host in Pittsburgh, where I'm originally from. She actually did some television there. Did a television show very similar to this one. That might be where we got the idea from. I don't know. But once again, want to thank Mary Newton Bruder. The book, Much Ado About a Lot. I haven't read it yet. I cannot wait to read it. We're taking a break. When we come back after this, Jim Porter from H&R Block will be here.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Curly Tires. Curly Tires is located on Greenville Avenue Extension in Clarion. They offer a wide variety of tires to meet your car or truck needs. Curly Tire is open Monday through Saturday. Call 226-6657. That's Curly Tire. Phone 226-6657.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Timberland's Restaurant. The Timberland's Restaurant is located near Interstate 80 and Route 68 in the Holiday Inn. The Timberland's Restaurant is open daily 6:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and from 4 to 10 p.m. Call 226-8850.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Pizza Pub. The Pizza Pub is located at 1306 East Main Street in Clarion and offers radio dispatch delivery. Call 226-8721. The Pizza Pub is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone them at 226-8721. When other stations are showing their boring programming, only one station is bringing news coverage closer to home.
Now a story you'll hear first on 5.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m., join the area's news leader, TV5 News. Tune in for the latest in local, regional, state, and national news. Plus, with our newspaper exchange partner, the Clarion News, teaming up to bring news coverage closer to home every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m.
Welcome back to Feedback, and as I said earlier, we're talking taxes today. And joining us from H&R Block is Jim Porter. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me up.
You must be such a wonderful friend of everyone to help us through this tax season, which everybody hates.
It's one of those things where if you enjoy your work, you never work your day of life, and I enjoy doing what I do.
Well, that's good. We're still a little the early stages here. Tax season, well, April 15th, so it's a while away, but still, you can never be ready too early. I know people are done in January. What advice can you give us now to be getting our taxes ready for April 15th?
Organization is the best thing. I mean, you want to go through your checkbooks, through your expense ledgers, and contact some of your banking institutions, make sure that they've given you the proper documentation concerning your finance charges on home mortgages, automobile loans if you're taking a deduction associated with that on the business forms. Document your income. Make sure that one of the banks didn't forget to send you out a 1099 on your income, and then you get an unwelcome notice from the Internal Revenue Service a year or so from now because you forgot to report something. And so it's basically organization that you're into, and take a look at what you filed last year. Make sure that there's nothing blatantly missing from one year to the next.
So what's going on in your office now? Are you really busy? I mean, I'm sure this is your busy time. Are you really busy now? You've seen a lot of people coming in?
Well, the tax season actually has two significant peaks in it. There's a great deal of influx. Our busiest period of time actually is right after the W-2s come out. So the last week of January, the first 2 weeks of February, right up to Valentine's Day, we're exceptionally busy at the office. It's almost standing room only in there. Right now, it tapers off to a much more manageable level. We have a full staff on hand. We don't really need an appointment to stop in at the office. We run it on a first-come, first-served type basis, but we do have an adequate staff on hand right now, and we invite the public, if they need tax assistance, to come down and look us up. We're on Main Street in Clarion, and we have pretty good staff down there.
All right. We've been talking about April 15th. That's always like this date that no one wants to think about, but I mean, you have to. There's no choice. And I was saying, I know people who've told me, oh yeah, I've done with my taxes back in January, and then there's those people who are April 14th, and they're running around trying to finish it. What advice can you give us, maybe some year-round advice, so that come April, we're not pulling our hair out, going stark raving mad?
As far as the time references go, the calendar is going to give us a little bit of extra time this year because April 15th actually falls on a Saturday.
That's good.
So therefore, we go to the next legal mailing day, the next legal working day, which is Monday. So actually, the deadline this year will be midnight on April 17th. So that'll give us a weekend, an extra weekend to work on those tax forms. It's a welcome relief for tax preparers because we always do have a lot of procrastinators that bring their information in at the last moment. And that extra weekend, the Sunday where you can get into the office and actually prepare some additional tax returns, is a welcome relief. It's a beast whenever it ends on a Friday and that kind of thing. The calendar is going to give us a little bit extra time for that April 15th deadline. And once again, you're talking about your organizational skills. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your taxes. It's a year-round thing. You should be looking, if you're self-employed, at your quarterly estimates. Make sure that you're filing proper amounts to the IRS quarterly throughout the year. If you're an employee, you're going to look at your pay stub. You should be looking at your pay stub at the end of the year, make sure it matches what's on the W-2. If you see any major discrepancies, you'd want to notify your employer that maybe they've overstated one of your paychecks onto the wrong year or understated it, and so that you don't get wrapped up in an amended return at a later date or something of that nature. All in all, that's basically what you're looking at, is just keeping track of everything, make sure that you have everything on hand. And if you visit your tax preparer, usually we advocate not leaving your tax return off. A drop-off's not really a good way to do your tax return. If you're paying somebody to prepare the tax return, we advocate that you sit down and have a small interview. There's nothing like talking with an individual to determine what actually they did incur during the year, because so many times we pick up many of the deductions that an individual may have if they've moved, if they've incurred some additional expenses in tools or equipment and things of that nature. They've joined the union this year than they weren't in a previous year. All these types of things may generate tax deductions. There may be children born, or children graduated from school and is on their own now. And so it's always good to spend some time with your tax advisor. And
that doesn't take as much time as some may think, right?
No. Most of the tax software that, at least that we use, has been polished a great deal over years of experience at the H&R Block office. The average time that an individual will sit in front of somebody in the form of an interview is around 20 minutes.
Oh, that's certainly manageable.
Oh, yeah, and since we have a pretty good staff on hand, we usually can get to somebody within a half hour after they've come in our door. So, give yourself an hour to come in and get your taxes done. Then we usually, our office, it goes through a checking and a processing procedure. We double check for accuracy and things of that nature. And it's usually available to pick up in anywhere from 4 or 5 days later.
Okay. And we just have about 2 minutes left, but one thing I did want to talk about, it's such a broad subject, try to limit it to about 2 minutes, is technology. It seems to be everywhere in everything we do. How has that affected the tax world?
Technology is a great boon to my particular profession. I started tax preparation about 22 years ago, and it was paper and pencil. And if you had somebody forgot to give you a $5 interest statement, it was an eraser on the front of the form. And it went all the way through to the back of the forms. But now you punch a number in and it updates. So it takes a lot of the mundane tasks out of it. What you need to be careful of is that technology also helps the IRS cross-reference. You have to make sure that your Social Security numbers are correct. You have to make sure that you're reporting all the income that's being reported to you, because the IRS is able to cross-reference these particular items, and they'll follow up. And just because you file your tax return and it's accepted and you get your refund, the IRS usually doesn't get around to cross-reference to 1.5 years to 2.5 years later. That's whenever the audits occur. That's whenever you're seeing paper documents coming back through the mail and saying, hey, you forgot this, you forgot that, or come on in and talk to us a little bit about some of the items that you're reporting as gross income and things of that nature.
Well, this complicated tax code. It seems that, you know, we always hear about the politicians talking about maybe wanting to change something. And I'm wondering, with all this software out there, what you guys have in your office and what I can buy to use at home, is that the best idea? Because is it going to be up to date on the new tax codes?
Most of the software, it's good, but a lot of it's more data input oriented. It's not going to run an interview. It's not going to ask you whether or not you had moving expenses, whether or not you incurred this, that, or the other thing in the way of deductible items. And it's not going to really determine whether or not those items are deductible. I mean, if you pull up a form for an office in the home and put in the numbers, it's going to calculate it and punch out a form for that. But unless you really are familiar with the rules and regulations concerning your eligibility to receive that deduction, you may be preparing something that you're not eligible for, or forgetting to do something that you're eligible for. So it's one of those things where the analogy is garbage in, garbage out. So you know, the software is great for mathematical accuracy and things of that nature. They're ideal for that. But I don't think they'll ever replace a knowledgeable professional tax preparer.
Okay, well that's good. So your job's safe. We're just basically out of time here, but where can we come to you for help? And are you really busy now? Are you swamped? Is this a good time to come down?
This is an excellent time. Between now and the last week of March is what we call our, it's actually the slowest period of time in the tax season. So we're looking forward to see anybody, and a lot of new clients come in right now. A lot of new businesses, a lot of new faces come down through the office. We're welcoming them and seeing what we can do to be of assistance.
And you're on Main Street.
Yeah, we're on Main Street between the gates, along 3rd Avenue and Main Street, between Gates and Burns and Denny Edwards' Appliance Store, the Maytag dealership. You may also notice we're across from the big Winkle Tire dealership, or the Tavern, right up there. We're a stone's throw from the courthouse.
So I can get some help down there when you are downtown. Thanks for joining us, Jim. Let's just hope that all of our taxes go well this year.
Absolutely.
We'll be back after this.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Carpet Barn. The Carpet Barn is located at 470 South 5th Avenue in Clarion. The Carpet Barn is open Monday through Saturday for all your carpet needs. So call the Carpet Barn, 226-7332.
Standing out from the crowd is easy when you stop in at Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all with many different styles. With our newly expanded shoe and accessory department, you're surely to find that special touch to enhance that new outfit. And if you have a fashion question, our experts are here to help. That's Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall, just off Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. Sunday from noon till 5.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
Portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Mulligan's Lounge. Mulligan's Lounge is located near I-80 and Route 68 in the Holiday Inn. Mulligan's Lounge is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Call 226-8850. And once again, we'd like to thank our guests from today for joining us. Jim Porter from H&R Block, getting ready for tax season, and Mary Newton Bruder, the book, Much Ado About a Lot. I can't wait to read it. You can get out there and read it. We will see you tomorrow night. Have a good day. I'm losing my speech. Have a good day. We'll see you next week, or tomorrow. You know what I mean.